This is Fixer, and it identifies superfans and it prevents negative reviews before they hit Google. So there are two types of users of Fixer. One, you have the agency, and the other is a business owner. Now, most of the users of the tool are actually agencies, and that's what we're going to be focusing on in this video. Basically, you find cold prospects and you convert them into clients. I charge $20,000 a client, so we'll go with that. Bad online reviews equals massive pain equals massive opportunity. So the process is, and I'm going to show you how to do this, find them, sign them, deliver it, and get paid. And by the way, my conversion rate doing this is at least 75%. So there's no catch. I have nothing to sell you, but in the video I will suggest tools that I use and resources that might help. What's key here is the method. That's the takeaway. You can actually do everything I'm going to show you if you can send an email and you know how to use a Google Sheet. Finding reputation management clients is like fishing in a barrel. You literally go into Google, type in a business in your area, and you will find them. So for instance, I'm looking for accountants in St. Albans here. The very first one that comes up, very bad experience. So this is a prime candidate for a business that needs reputation management. Now, there are easier ways to do this so we can get them at scale, and I'll show you that now, but this is the free method. To scrape a whole heap of results programmatically is super easy. I use an app called Apify, and within Apify they have these things called actors. The actor that I'm using is called Google Maps Email Extractor, and it's super easy to use. We just go down here to the search terms, and I've added in accounting, accountant, and accountants. And then for the location, I've got Melbourne, and I'm going to return 10 places per search term and the language English. Now, when you run this, you'll get a result page that looks like this. Programmatically, it has scraped Google Maps and extracted all the information based on the criteria that we entered in. And you can see up the top here, the price of doing this was 37 cents. So it's super cheap. In addition to that, when you sign up with Apify, you get $5 credit. Now, I have nothing to do with Apify, but it seems to work pretty well, and it's better than doing it manually. Now, when your data is returned, you can click this link if you want to see where they are geographically on a map. You can also export it, but what I like to do is take it over to an automation. So I actually use an API to hook into Apify, and then I can sort the data, filter the data, put a limit on it, and then loop it over into a Google Sheet. So this is what I get back. So for the very small sample that I extracted, we get a bunch of really good information. So we get the image URL of where they're located, we have their address, we also have the total Google My Business review. I've filtered out all the 5s because obviously they don't need our services. And then I've got this review distribution. Not every result will return it, but some will. And you can see here this first one has 3 1-star reviews. Column G is our total reviews count. And then we have email address for most of the businesses, the city, and the actual website. Okay, so now we know how to find these potential clients with their 1-star and 2-star reviews. We've got their details, now we can contact them. What I would recommend you doing is do a bit of research on each of the businesses and see if you can find the business owner. They've got the most to lose because of their reputation, so they're more likely to be receptive to a proposal to resolve their reputation. I have a template here that I use, and I'm happy to provide that to you. The details to get it will be at the end of the video, but basically it just explains who you are, the service that you offer, why it's a good idea to do this, and how to take this forward. In my experience, this is how it goes. Send an email, don't hear back. Send a follow-up email, get a response. Then move into negotiation phase where we agree the exact service we're going to deliver, like we make all your 1-star and 2-star reviews disappear. We're going to get you 5 times as many reviews as you already have, and you're going to be a happy business with more clients. So then we move on to issuing a contract. I have a standard template contract that I use. It covers everything, so you're protected, client's protected, and you know exactly what you're delivering. If you would like a copy of this contract, the template, The details will be at the end of the video. Now we're getting into the juicy stuff. How do we deliver this service? Well, basically, it's a two-step process at a minimum. What we want to do is get our hands on the business's email list. Now, some businesses will give it to you to do the work. Others will say, you show me what I need to do, and they will do it themselves with your guidance. So sometimes it's money for jam. Sometimes you have to do a bit of the work. What we want to do is email the list, and what we're going to find out is which of their clients, which of their customers would give them a 1 or 2 star review, and which ones are more likely to give them 4 and 5 star reviews. This is step 1 in the 2-part process. Now, I've been doing this for a while, and there are a few different ways to go about it. I used to teach this method using SurveyMonkey and some other tools, and it's all here in ORM Ninja, but things have progressed a little bit. So this is where Fixer comes in. It can handle all the heavy lifting for contacting a business's customer list and categorizing them into people that would give them 1 or 2 star reviews or 4 and 5 star reviews. So if you use the Fixer method, which I'll show you, that's great. But if not, you can do the same thing with Spreadsheet, SurveyMonkey, and the like. If you sign into Fixer, basically you get taken to a business profile. You complete this business profile for the business that you're actually representing. So let's assume we're going to be an accounting company. So at Ninja Accounting, we've got a website, we have a description of the business, mid-size accounting firm based in Melbourne, etc. And this is where we get to the follow-up and the email settings. So review follow-up defaults. So this is enable automatic follow-ups. We'll leave it at 7 days, which means if we send out a batch of 500 emails, those that don't respond will get an auto follow-up in 7 days. Email notifications. So this is getting a notification as the user of Fixer when someone completes a survey. So by default, that's on. You put in the email address where you want that notification to be sent. And you've also got the option to add a webhook. Now, this is for when if someone submits a 4 or a 5 star review or a 1 or a 2, you can add a webhook there and capture their details, and you might decide to add an additional workflow for the particular process. When that's done, we just hit Save Settings. So the next step is we go to the overview page here. If we scroll down a little bit, we get this import customers. So this is where we can drag in that customer list from our clients. Once you have their list, you can import it. And when you do, it's going to ask you for a five character tag to assign to it. So I'll call this Web01. This has only got a couple of email addresses in the file, but I'll import them. And you can see we have now 2 emails imported, and it's got 1 unique tag. Now, before we create our first survey, there's a couple more things we need to do. If you go up to the settings, we've done our business details, we need to go to this email templates. The system comes with the warm-up email. That is, it's an email that goes out to the list to say, hey, we're going to be doing a survey soon, keep an eye out for it. Then we have the actual survey invitation email. Now you can modify it, no problem, but if you stuff it up, you can just press the reset and it'll put it back to the default. And then there's the follow-up email. Again, you can keep the standard one or you can modify it, etc. The next one is the survey questions. Out of the box, we have 10 questions, but the really cool thing here is we can generate questions with AI. So if we go to generate questions, because we've filled in our business details, it knows the type of business we are, and it's going to complete a whole range of questions that are targeted towards that type of business. So now we get a notification, the questions have been generated successfully. Now, when I was doing this manually, it was always a huge job to actually come up with appropriate questions for different type of businesses. So this has been a huge help when I do this work. I'm happy with that. I'll press Save Settings. Now, if I go back to the overview, we can click on Create New Survey. So this will be our first survey. Give it a name. The next step is we need to select who this survey is going to go to. So I'm going to select both the emails that we imported. Nothing else to do on that one. Survey invitation email settings. This is the email that was in the settings that we just looked at. So it gives you another chance to take a glance at it in case you need to change it. But I'm happy with all of that. The warm-up email, by default, they're set to on. Next, this is a review of all the questions. So at this step, you can do a re-review of all the survey questions. We're happy with all of these, so we can go just to the next step. So now we're on to the follow-up settings. So all the defaults come through. We've enabled defaults, which means that anyone that hasn't completed the survey within the set period of time will get a follow-up email. And then you can also set how many follow-ups. Again, nothing else to do on that one. We can finalize the survey. Now basically we've got to here, and this is the summary of everything we've got. The last step to do is actually to enable it, and this is on the actions. So you go to actions and you activate it. So when you hit activate, you get one final chance to review the details. I'm happy with all of this. I'm going to activate the survey. And you can see straight away it's telling us here, warm-up email sending in progress. It has sent the warm-up, and now it's going to say survey invitation. So it says it'll be sent in a few minutes. Okay, so the warm-up email went out. This is what it looks like by default. The actual survey request email went out, and it comes with the button here to complete the survey. So you click on this, and then the recipient will get the survey. Now I'm going to go through and give these all a very low rating, and then I will do the other one, give it a very high rating, and I can show you what this looks like back in Fixer. With both surveys now complete, Fixer updates itself, so we've got 2 responses back. The average rating is 3. We can see we got one response with a 1-star overall and another response with a 5-star overall. And down the bottom with follow-ups, you can see they're being deactivated because everyone has responded. So this survey is complete. Okay, so recipients, there's a few things we can do here. If we click on this, we can see who the emails have come from and what they responded with. So it's a good place just to get a quick snapshot. Also, we can go to what's called polarity. What this does, it categorizes the responses, how many were in the 1 and 2 stars and which ones were in the 4 and 5. And that really is the gold that comes out of the system or this process. And so with the webhook that was mentioned earlier, it can kick off another process. So for the 4 and 5s, it may be with a link to Google My Business because you know that they're going to leave a good review. So you request that. With the low ratings, I would give that to the manager of the business and say, contact these people because they really are at risk of posting negative reviews based on what we know. Now, getting paid. This is why we do it, right? So milestone 1, I would recommend getting a payment of $3,000 on signing of contract. You want to do that to make sure, 1, they've got the money and they're committed to actually doing this process. 2, get $7,000 once the survey is out the door. 3, when the surveys are all done and responses back, hit them for $5,000. And step 4, after it's all done and wrapped up, another $5,000, and that completes out $20,000. So that is the entire process from start to finish, how to find them, how to sign them, how to do the work, and then the process or the breakdown for getting paid. So if you decide to use Fixer.online, it actually comes with the templates, so you can just download them. If you prefer to use another method like SurveyMonkey or another approach that you want to take, but you want those contracts and the email template, if you're a member of Online Ninja, I will just provide them to you. All you need to do is go up to the chat here, send me a message, and I will get them to you. I hope you've got a bit of value from this video. If you have, it'd be great if you gave it a like. Consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one, or maybe even over in the Online Ninja community.